the pyramids, the people who built those, whatever these civilizations are, they must have gone through Ophiuchus,
Yeah.
you know?
I think what's happening on the earth today has directly to do with something the pharaohs were involved in that we don't understand or know anything about. But I think they were involved in something that we are now finally seeing coming. And we're seeing it happening, but it is Egyptian. And I have a reason for saying that. I found out some information just recently from a lecture that I didn't know about. And that's basically where I came to the conclusion. It has to do with something the ancient Egyptians were involved in that we today do not know anything about. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
On the side of one of the great temples in Egypt, on one side of the temple was a story written, and it's been translated. And the story was that Pharaoh Akhenaten was walking along the Nile one day by himself, and a silver disc came over his head. A silver disc. We're talking about maybe a UFO or whatever. It came over his head, the story goes, and as it came over his head, it followed him, and he began to hear voices in his head from somebody in the silver disc talking to him. And they told him to go back to Cairo. And because he was Pharaoh, for him to found a new city, for him to start a new city. And the symbol for that new city was a symbol for a new world that they wanted to produce. And he was told the symbol for that new city, you should call the city Akhenaten. Akhenaten. No, Akhenaten. Because Atan was the sun god of Egypt. So the voice said, go back and call this new city Akhenaten, and it will be the symbol for the whole world will accept that symbol. We're telling you, the whole world is going to accept it. And the symbol for that new city is going to be a sunrise over a mountain range. Make sure you remember. The symbol for the new city will be a sunrise, a sun rising behind a mountain range. Well, in point of fact, today, that's exactly right. It's exactly true. I knew about the sunrise over the mountain range many, many years ago. I knew all about it. But I didn't realize that Pharaoh had been told what to do. And when I read that, it was startling to me. That explains where Christianity came from. Christianity's symbol is a sunrise over a mountain range. Well, don't the Christians go to church on Sunday? And is Jesus not called God's Son, the light of the world? Well, of course, the Son is the light of the world, and he is your risen Savior. Well, of course the Son is your risen Savior, because he rises every morning about 5:30 he rises. And he is the Savior of the world, because the sun keeps us warm. It lets us get energy so our food will grow, we will grow, and we stay alive and are able to live on the earth because of our sun. So God's Son, well, you have to ask yourself, who owns the sun? Well, nobody on the earth owns the sun. Well, then who owns it? Well, if you're religious or philosophical, you might say that God owns the sun. Okay, then it's God's Son. In the Anglo-Saxon language, our English language, we spell S-U-N. for that round globe that comes up in the morning. We spell it S-U-N. But in Germany, the Germanic spelling of that thing is called S-O-N. The Germans spell it S-O-N. We spell it S-U-N. And so, therefore, God's Son, S-O-N, is the God's Son, S-U-N. He is the light of the world. Well, of course he's the light of the world. What else lights the world if it isn't the sun? And he is your risen Savior. Well, then you begin to see how the whole of Christianity is the worship of God's Son, the light of the world. And so, knowing that, the symbol for Christianity is a sunrise over a mountain range. But even more specific, today, when the Soviet Union was founded back in 1920s and 30s, when originally the Communist Party took over Russia and reestablished a new government in Russia called the Soviet Union, it was called the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So all the little countries in Russia became socialists. Well, that's what we have today. We have a social networks. Our telephones and our Facebook and all those other silly things that is going on are called social networks. Why? Because we are socialists. We are the new communists on the earth. We are collecting everybody together into one place. We're collecting all governments together, all the people together. We are the new Soviet empire in America. And so that's why they're called socialist networks, social networks. So the bottom line is I didn't know about Pharaoh until about 2 months ago. I heard a lecture by a dear friend of mine. He was a dear friend of mine. His name is Jay Widener. And Jay Widener gave a lecture in Laughlin, Nevada. Well, so did I. I gave a lecture on the sunrise over the mountain range and the words and the terms, not knowing he was coming behind me to give a lecture. He gave a lecture explaining the sunrise behind the mountain. I said, my God, I've been looking at this for 60 years. I didn't know that Pharaoh was told to start a new religion based on Akhenaten, and that's what the Jews today, the Hebrews today say that God's name is too holy for you to use it. But you can use a substitute word that means him, that means the God of the Jews. But it's not his name, it just means him. And that name, the Jews say today, is called Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton is 4 Hebrew letters inside of a sunrise. And that's used for God's name. Tetra is 4. Gram, G-R-A-M-M, is a letter like A, B, C, D, gram, gives us the word grammar. So tetragram is 4 letters. And the Hebrews called God's name Tetragrammaton. Yeah, the 4 letters for the sun god Aton. Like Pharaoh Akhenaten. Or Aton is the sun god. So the whole world, all religions on the face of the earth and all peoples on the face of the earth, no matter where they are, they use the sunrise over a mountain range and they call it the Aton. The police department have it on their badges, the sunrise. Everybody, the fire department, all governmental agencies, the United States, everybody uses the sunrise over a mountain range, just like Pharaoh was told. This is going to be a symbol for a new world. Boy, when I found that out, it all dawned on me. Now I understand.